Coach, to have your guys rest the last couple of days, I mean, how does the rest yesterday feel, and how do you think the guys look to practice today? Obviously, the practice situation where you guys just take a small bus ride tomorrow morning, how necessarily is the environment in the clubhouse right now getting ready for tomorrow?
Guys are relaxed, ready to play. It's had our banquet last night, which was outstanding. A lot of people showed up for that, alumni, supporters, donors, that type of thing. Had a nice awards banquet for the guys. To a man, everyone that received an award and was up there, and the main underlying theme was we're not done yet. We still got work to do, and so I think the guys are in a good mental spot to where they understand what we're capable of doing and where they want to go. Now it's just a matter of continuing what we've been doing and waiting for the game to get here tomorrow.
I feel like there's a bit of fire in this team, a little bit of energy to know what's at stake and that they can execute.
There's nothing new that they haven't shown in the last month, and I think that's the key for us, is just to continue to play loose and relaxed, and not put too much emphasis or pressure on anything. Just go out and play the way they're capable of, and if they do that, I like our chances.
How would you evaluate where you were going into last year's Pac-12 tournament and kind of a flip-flop of this year, being hotter going into this year's Pac-12 tournament?
Polar opposite. Last year we were hanging by a thread and putting guys out there that hadn't played a whole lot all year, and just out of necessity. We were banged up and injured, and trying to hang on, to get ourselves a spot in the regionals that ultimately didn't work out. But this year it's kind of polar opposite. We got guys firing on all cylinders and are fresh and feel good and swinging the bats good and extremely confident. So we'll take that against anybody right now.
What do you think you learned the most last year that you can bring into this year and this experience to hopefully have more success this time around?
It's a whole different team than last year, so I don't really compare them all that much, other than just go out and relax and play. Enjoy the camaraderie amongst the teammates, enjoy each other, and play for one another.
On 13 of your last 15 games, how have you been able to go on this winning stretch, and how has this team come together and found themselves?
Credit to them. That's on the guys in there that have bonded together, and everybody else gave up on them. They got closer, and I think that's a pretty special characteristic to have. And they've continued to stay tight as a group and as a unit, and trusted each other, and the accountability, I think, has gone up amongst each other in there, but also at the same time they're playing a lot more relaxed and knowing what they're capable of doing. And when you combine those kind of ingredients together, it makes for a fun run that they've been on.
You've talked about being written off before. Has this team, you think, carried a chip or an edge or an underdog mentality to try and get their attention back on them?
It doesn't feel like that type of team that is out to prove anything to anybody. We know what happened, and those that wrote us off, that's okay. But from our standpoint, it wasn't necessarily we're going to get back at you and prove you wrong. It's just hey, let's just go play our game type mentality. And I think that's you have different mixes. I came from the school of wanting to prove everybody wrong and write every name down that doubted me, and you're going to pay for it at some point in time. This group, not to say that's not a little bit in there with them, but I think it's more of a hey, let's play the way we're capable of playing and go out and relax and play our game and let the rest take care of itself. Both are obviously effective if used the right way, and I think that's the approach of these guys. Just relax, go play the game, and enjoy what they're doing, enjoy each other.
You're part of a squad that's the fastest to ever reach 100 home runs for an ASU team. How fun is it for you just to be part of that and watch those young men just hit dinger after dinger and knowing that they have that capability, game in and game out?
Well, I mean, that's a tribute to the preparation that they've done all year long. Starting in the fall, and things are starting to click for them, which is obviously great. Makes my job easy, and it you're never out of a game, when you have an offense that can swing the sticks like that. No lead is safe against us, and I think other teams know that. We're going to keep coming after you and keep swinging the bats, and You know, for these guys to be the fastest team in a tremendous Arizona State hitting history here, to be the fastest team to hit 100 home runs, man, that's saying something with the amount of guys that have come through this program. So proud of those guys, and like I said, they're not done yet.
Do you like that nickname, Bash Brothers? Does it have a nice ring to it?
I don't have a comment on that either way, one way or another. Let's just keep hitting them, and they can figure out a nickname when this thing's all done.
Just to confirm, you got Markle on Tuesday and then Burns on Thursday.
I never said anything about Burns on
sorry,
Thursday.
Jacob.
Marco will go Tuesday, and we'll go from there. We'll do whatever we have to do to win Tuesday, and worry about Thursday when that gets here.
Do you have any status update on Burns?
Thomas will be available this week. So how we use him, it's not going to be in a starting role initially, but he will be available for us to use if we need him. If we end up using him Tuesday, you know, we'll try to pick and choose the right situation for him. If not, then we'll get another bullpen in him and have him ready to go at some point on Thursday, hopefully.
You've been very fortunate in all 3 of your years to have this conference tournament format. Funny enough that the first annual conference tournament in this conference was the first year you had this job. How necessarily, in your past 2 experiences with this conference tournament, how have you prepared necessarily for your guys to not necessarily be exhausted or not necessarily, you know, feel like they're tired necessarily, even with the quick turnaround from the end of the regular season to this? What experience do you have from that, from the past couple of years?
You know, I think, like I said, the first 2 years we were kind of running on fumes going into this tournament, and last year, for example, we probably going down a little bit of a rabbit hole, but we were looking at potential of an NCAA bid last year. We thought the importance of winning that conference series against UCLA the last weekend was going to really matter, you know, in the eyes of the committee. So we emptied the tank and used whatever arms we had to try to win that series, which we ultimately did. We weren't able to set up our pitching like some other teams were for that Tuesday that knew the situation they were already in well before that. We figured if we had won that series, then we were looking pretty good to get into the postseason tournament. Ultimately, it didn't work out for us. This year, as fate would have it, we were able to have a non-conference weekend the weekend before the tournament, so it's a little bit different. We still used our guys, but we were able to at least line up our pitching staff a little bit more for Tuesday and have a legitimate weekend starter going on Tuesday versus last year we had a midweek guy going on the first game of the tournament. So that puts us in a little bit better situation as far as the tournament is concerned.
Kian just talked about just a couple of minutes ago about how the Washington State sweep in Pullman was the necessary break that this team needed in order to get back to fumes and realize that they were better than this. Do you feel like that was the point of the season where you feel like everything started to change, at least from a mentality standpoint in the clubhouse?
I certainly hope so, because that was a low point of our season. I thought that's one that's a weekend I think that we point to that we wish we could have back and have another go at that, because we were not in a great place, I don't think, mentally, or you know, we weren't playing great either at that point in time. And you know, that's kind of when we lost Thomas Burns, you know, that weekend following that game, and guys just hadn't experienced what it feels like to play winning baseball yet. And we had a significant wake-up call meeting after that series, and I did some crazy things at UNLV the following game and changed the lineup drastically and did a bunch of different crazy things to let them know that this is not acceptable. Is that the turning point? Maybe. That's when we started playing better. But you know, we weren't hitting on all cylinders, you know, at that point in time, but it certainly was the wake-up call I think that those guys in there maybe needed, and the adjustments they needed to make, that like, hey, we got to start playing better, because this is not the way we're gonna make everything happen that we want to have happen if we keep playing like this.
Any thoughts? Maybe you'll have time to think about it later. You played in this conference. It's the last Pac-12 baseball tournament. really marking the end of the conference. So kind of your thoughts on that as a guy that played here.
Yeah, you know, I have had mixed feelings on that, of course. I had kind of those emotions when we played last weekend at Stanford, being the last regular season Pac-12 conference series for us. And, you know, it's, yeah, it's a little bit bittersweet, I guess, from a standpoint of this conference. I've said it a million times that Conference of Champions, we've had more national championships than anybody. I think we got 27, is that right? Heels, 27, I think, national championships in this conference, which is more than 10 of the next closest one. So College World Series appearances, this conference dominates any other conference out there. And so the history of this Pac-12 conference is really unmatched in so many ways: draft picks, titles, you know, championships, and it's a little bit sad to see it go, you know, and I think anybody on the West Coast would agree with that. And yeah, for me personally, this is the conference I played in. I enjoyed it a lot. It's very competitive, fun, a lot of rivalries amongst it, and it'll be, you know, we'll miss those rivalries. I'm going to miss hating to play against USC and Stanford and UCLA and those teams that I just enjoyed to hate, and vice versa. And it was a mutual respect, but you enjoyed that rivalry. And to see all this kind of dissolve is, yeah, it's kind of a bummer. On the same token, once this tournament is over, we'll be joining a new conference next year. We've been welcomed with open arms to the Big 12. They've been outstanding and welcoming us, and we'll be excited for that chapter when it gets here.
Did you have a favorite moment as a player in your years here? What was your favorite moment?
You know, there was a lot of them. The one that sticks out is tie game against USC at Packard, and hitting a bases clearing double, and having their coaching staff, 3/4 of their coaching staff, get ejected because they were so pissed off because they thought they had the guy before me struck out on a borderline pitch, and I came up and torched him, and God, it was beautiful to see them cry and get upset. And to me, that one just, yeah, that when I think about just kind of all the cool rivalries, that SC one was very heated with us at that time, and never forget that double that I hit, and then all their coaching staffs getting thrown out of the game for arguing. That was pretty cool. Yeah.
What year was that? Do you remember?
That was 98. Yeah, okay. That was you know, regular season of 98. They end up, of course, getting the last laugh by beating us in the national championship game. But yeah, that one regular season wise was pretty cool for me personally.
Given what this team has been able to do offensively, being arguably one of the best offenses in the country, and maybe overcoming some of the pitching struggles at times, how would you evaluate how far this team can go?
You know, it's when we're playing the way we've been playing lately, we can beat anybody in the country. I'm confident in that. You know, we can play with anybody in the country, and for me, that's when you have a guys that are playing loose and free and easy like this, and scoring the amount of runs that we're scoring and swinging the way we're swinging right now. It's you're never out of a game. It just takes a constant belief in each other, which these guys have. And you know, I made the parallels plenty of times to that 98 team that I was on. That very, very similar type of team, to where we were written for dead. You know, halfway through the season, everybody was jumping ship on us, and it just kind of all of a sudden came together. And that second half run we had with that team was magnificent, you know, all except for the last game. This team, in my mind, is very similar. And to where we got hot, guys started playing the way we're capable of, and had a late season run. We got in the tournament, and the rest is history. This is that type of team, and which adamantly I'm going to fight for our guys, that we deserve an opportunity in this thing, because this is the team that gets hot in the end is a team that's dangerous going into the postseason. So obviously we got to take care of our business this week the best we can, and hopefully leave it out of the hands of anybody else and just take care of it ourselves. But in the event that that doesn't work, I still believe these guys have earned the right to play beyond this week. And if we get in, it'll be a scary team to play against.
You've talked about the growth of Ben Jacobs over this year, how he didn't play much his freshman year, so this is kind of his first full year. But after that, his last start against Oregon State, just 2 innings, giving up 7 runs. Do you feel like that sort of lit a fire under him to go on the stretch he's gone on?
I think Oregon State's the number 6 team in the country for a reason. They're pretty dang good. But as far as Benny, he just continues to grow each time out there, which is great. So, and yeah, he was a guy that had a handful of innings last year, and something ever since even the fall, just watching him progress each time he goes out there. Where there were times in the fall where, man, you're a mess, dude. You can't let one bad pitch, snowball into the next and into the next. And he's really grown a tremendous amount, and that's tip my hat to Sam, our pitching coach, who doesn't get enough credit on some of those guys' situations, and continue to work and grind with him and get him better. And there's been outings where he's just been flat out dominant and great, and we're going to need him to keep doing that here at the end. And then, like I said, I think sky's the limit for that kid. He's still going to continue to improve and grow and learn things, and he's turned into a pretty dang good pitcher. So.
Minutes ago, Jacob Tobias just got named Pac-12 Player of the Week. Campos, then McLean, now Tobias. How has it been to see each different person step up each different week to kind of carry the lineup forward?
Well, to my point, individually that's phenomenal. For guys to keep putting up solid weeks the way they've been doing, but that's just a tribute to what I said is to what we're capable of doing right now. And I mean, I don't know when the last time we've had 4 straight Pac-12 Player of the Weeks and for the same school. Hockey, I'm not sure, but never. There you go. Right. So this is history in the making. That's why I believe this team is dangerous, and we deserve a shot at this thing because we're playing the last month, out of this world when it comes to an offensive standpoint. And, it's not the same guy every week. It's somebody different. And there's other guys. I mean, Ryan Camp. If Toby didn't win it this week, it'd have probably been Campy. With the numbers that he put up this week. So it's like pick your poison. You got 5 or 6 guys every week that are that caliber of player, and that's a reflection of how we're playing right now. And so when you add all those things together, are we a hot team at the end of the year that can make a run at this thing? Absolutely. So we're gonna keep doing that, hopefully.
Focusing on Tobias individually, he's had 10 home runs and 50 RBIs in back-to-back seasons. He joined Spencer Torkelson as the only other Sun Devil in the last decade to do that. How have you seen him progress through his 3 years here at ASU?
Well, when you're getting your name thrown in the same conversation as Spencer Torkelson, you're doing something right. He's, I was talking to his parents last night at the awards banquet and saying, man, when I first saw Jacob Tobias in the locker room when I first got in the job, I'm like, this kid's gonna play here? I mean, kind of pudgy and, big old cheeks, and I'm like, is he a bat boy or is he a player that we're actually gonna have to work with? And I'm like, this will be interesting. And then the first inter squad that we had, and I saw that kid's hands work. I'm like, oh, okay, that's why he's here. He's got tremendous hands and a knack for hitting, and from that standpoint it was okay, this kid can hit, now we got to make him serviceable defensively and clean up the body a little bit and get him more athletic. And that kid, if you would, I don't know if we have a picture of him as a freshman to where he is now, the amount of work that young man has put in and transformed his body into an athleticism, kid that can move around a little bit better and continue to develop offensively the way he has. And that's just that's a will to want it and a will to want to get better, which he obviously has. And the results have shown, and continuously he's gotten better each year and progressively better each year. And that's pretty cool to just see that kid come into his own and do what he's done over the last 3 years.
Each of them were just in here talking about how valuable the strength coach has been to each of them, to see kind of the body transformations, Compton, Tobias, even Kean a little bit go through that, how it vitalized them, taking that own accountability, and he reciprocating and being able to elevate the strength of the team, which has now played out to hundreds of home runs.
Well, that's that's part of the development process. You know, everyone, not everyone, but a lot of people overlook the development of the physical development and the mental development. They just look at, you know, how am I developing as a baseball player? Well, in order to do that, you have to get stronger, you have to mature, and your body has to grow. And when you have the value of a tremendous strength coach, Ted Henson, that we have, who doesn't just focus on lifting weights, it's more of the biomechanics and strengthening of different areas that are gonna translate onto the baseball field. That's what's important. And to see these guys develop, their bodies develop physically, and then combine that with the training and the coaching they're getting on the field, you know, in the batting cages and on the pitching mound and bullpen, that type of stuff, and have the things correlate to just becoming a better baseball player as a result. It starts in the weight room, man. You got to get in there and get stronger. And, you know, today's world, it's bigger, stronger, faster. And if you're not going to be willing to do that, you're going to get left in the dust. Our guys are tremendously dedicated to being in there and developing their bodies and getting stronger and faster and more explosive, and the results show. And I think proof's in the pudding with all these guys, even our pitchers that are, you know, take Hunter Omelet, for example, touching 97, 98 miles an hour now as a kid who never broke 93. Not that it's all about velo, but when you see those guys making these jumps, it's like, man, they're doing something right. And I think it starts in there, starts with the dedication of being in the weight room, and then you fine tune it with the coaching that they're getting. And that's what we're trying to do, is develop players. And again, a history of draft picks that we have here, and there's a reason why we're developing the right way and continuing to keep up with the cutting edge of baseball technology and lifting and mechanics and all that type of stuff. So end result, yeah, these guys are getting better.
Backs against the wall against UNLV, slugfest against Washington. How does this team continue to find a way to win when their backs are pressed against the wall?
Again, just playing confident and believing in themselves. And again, the way we're swinging the bats, we're never out of a game. And I think these guys understand that. We're just, hey, get a couple base runners on, we'll see what happens. Guys putting together solid at bats, passing the torch from one guy to the next, not trying to do too much, and good things happen. All of a sudden, it's, you know, we're down 5. It's guys just laughing. We'll get that next inning. Don't worry about it. We're good. And when you start having that kind of swag and confidence, it's a scary team.
Any significance to the knot?
To the what?
To the knot on your shirt.
Yeah.
What is it?
That's for the boys in there to know. Sorry, I didn't mean to open a can of worms, but yeah, we just, the harder that people are pulling on the outside, we get tighter on the inside. So I think that's significant in this year in a lot of ways, because there was a lot of people that wrote us off early, and we just got tighter as a team. So here we are.